Sophia never dreamed she would step into the luxurious restaurant that evening. Her older sister, Isabella, had begged her to take her place on a blind date arranged by their distant relatives. "He's just some wealthy businessman." Isabella shrugged, uninterested. But Sophia, dressed in her modest, borrowed dress, knew she didn't belong among chandeliers and crystal glasses. Still, she went, for her sister's sake. When she entered, she noticed him instantly. Ethan Carter, the man waiting at the corner table, was nothing like she imagined. He wasn't arrogant or aloof. Instead, he had warm eyes that softened when he glanced up from his phone. A little boy sat beside him, quietly coloring on a napkin. That surprised her. "You're Isabella?" he asked, puzzled but polite. Sophia's heart pounded, but she nodded faintly, unsure how to explain. She was about to confess the truth when the little boy tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Are you going to be my new mommy?" Her breath caught. Ethan's jaw tightened in embarrassment. "Liam," he scolded gently, but Sophia's eyes stung with unexpected tears. She had never been anyone's choice before, yet this child's innocent hope pierced her soul. Something inside Ethan shifted, too. This girl didn't act entitled or rehearsed. She listened, laughed at Liam's jokes, and treated them like real people. By the time dinner ended, Ethan realized, whoever she was, he didn't want her to leave. The drive home was silent, but Ethan couldn't get the image of Sophia's soft smile out of his head. Liam had clung to her, refusing to let go until she promised to visit again. Something about her gentleness, her honesty, felt rare. Yet deep down, Sophia's chest tightened with guilt. She wasn't Isabella. She had no right to this man's kindness. The next morning, her sister barely looked up from her phone when Sophia explained. "So what? You went in my place. He probably won't call back anyway. CEOs like him want perfect women, not you." The words stung more than Sophia let on. She returned to her small cafe job, wiping tables and pretending the memory of Liam's wide, hopeful eyes didn't haunt her. But Ethan did call. Not Isabella. Sophia. When his voice came through the phone, deep, steady, yet unexpectedly vulnerable, her heart raced. "I know you're not your sister," he said plainly. "I figured it out when you talked about working 2 jobs to put yourself through school. That's not the life of a spoiled girl from uptown. But Liam, he won't stop asking for you. Neither will I." Sophia froze, torn between shame and wonder. No one had ever chosen her over Isabella, let alone a man like Ethan. "I shouldn't have lied," she whispered. "You didn't," he replied softly. "You showed me the truth instead." And for the first time in years, Sophia allowed herself to believe that maybe her worth wasn't hidden in the shadows. It was shining right where someone finally noticed. The following week, Ethan invited Sophia and her sister to dinner, but only Sophia showed up. Isabella had laughed when she heard the invitation. "He's not my type. Besides, you're clearly his charity project now." Sophia swallowed the hurt and went alone. When she arrived, Liam ran straight into her arms, squealing with joy. "I knew you'd come back." His little fingers wrapped around her neck, and for the first time, Sophia felt like she belonged somewhere. Ethan watched quietly, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. Over dinner, he asked about her life, her part-time jobs, her small rented room, the art classes she had abandoned to help pay her mother's medical bills. Unlike most people, he listened without judgment. But the more she spoke, the more Sophia feared the gap between them. He was a man who signed million-dollar deals. She was a girl who counted every dollar to buy groceries. What future could possibly exist between them? Her fears proved right when Isabella stormed into the cafe one afternoon, demanding answers. "So it's true? You stole my blind date? Do you have any idea who he is?" "Ethan Carter doesn't date nobodies, Sophia. You're embarrassing yourself." Customers stared, and Sophia's cheeks burned. Later that night, she almost called Ethan to end things before they could begin. But then Liam's little drawing fell out of her bag, a crayon picture of him, her, and Ethan, smiling together under a bright yellow sun. Tears filled her eyes. Maybe Isabella was right. Maybe she wasn't enough. But to that boy she already was. And that thought kept her from walking away. The autumn evening was crisp when Ethan surprised Sophia at her cafe. She nearly dropped the tray when she saw him in his tailored suit standing among chipped tables and coffee stains. Customers whispered, curious why a man like him was there. "I couldn't wait any longer," he said simply. "Come with me." He took her and Liam to the park that night, where fairy lights glowed among the trees. Liam ran ahead, laughing, while Ethan walked beside her. "You're not like anyone I've ever met, Sophia. You make me feel human again." His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed years of loneliness. Sophia's heart ached at his words. She wanted to believe them. But as they sat watching Liam play, Ethan's business partner, Vanessa, appeared. She was elegant, polished, everything Sophia was not. "So this is the girl?" Vanessa's tone dripped with disdain. "Ethan, the board won't approve of you parading around with someone so unsuitable." Sophia froze, shame crashing over her. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Vanessa, this is none of your concern." But Vanessa only smirked. "Think of Liam. Do you want him raised by someone who can barely support herself? Don't forget your responsibilities." The words pierced deeper than knives. Sophia excused herself quickly, tears burning her eyes. Ethan caught her wrist gently. "Don't listen to her." But Sophia shook her head, pulling away. "Maybe she's right. You deserve someone stronger. Someone who fits your world." And for the first time since they met, she left, her absence heavier than any silence Ethan had ever known. Days turned into weeks, and Sophia buried herself in work to numb the ache. She told herself Ethan would forget her soon. Men like him always did. But Liam didn't. One rainy afternoon, she found the little boy waiting outside her cafe, holding a drenched sketchbook. "Daddy said you're busy?" he sniffled. "But I needed to show you." Inside, he had drawn her again, this time with an umbrella over him, shielding him from the rain. Sophia's heart broke. She crouched down, wrapping him in her arms. "Oh, Liam!" She knew she couldn't abandon him. Moments later, Ethan appeared, frantic, his hair damp from the storm. Relief washed over his face when he saw Liam safe. Then his gaze softened on her. "You were the first person he ran to when he was scared. Doesn't that tell you something?" Sophia shook her head, torn between longing and fear. "It tells me he deserves stability, Ethan. I don't know if I can give that." "You already have," Ethan said firmly. "Not with money. With love." For the first time, Sophia saw not a CEO, but a man desperate to hold his family together. He didn't need someone perfect. He needed someone real. Still, doubts clung to her. Could love truly bridge such different worlds? Before she could answer, Ethan reached into his pocket and handed her a folded piece of paper, Liam's school permission slip. In the parent/guardian line, Liam had scrawled her name. Her breath caught. In that innocent handwriting was the truth. She already was part of their family. The night was quiet when Sophia stood outside Ethan's home, the slip of paper still trembling in her hand. She had rehearsed a dozen ways to tell him she couldn't stay in his world, but every time she pictured Liam's innocent eyes, her resolve crumbled. Ethan opened the door before she knocked. He looked tired, as though he'd been waiting all this time. "I was afraid you wouldn't come back," he admitted softly. Sophia stepped inside, her voice unsteady. "Ethan, I don't belong here. I don't have the right clothes, the right background, the right—" "Stop," he interrupted gently, moving closer. "Sophia, I don't need perfect. I need real. Liam needs someone who sees him, not my bank account. You've given him more love in weeks than anyone has in years." Before she could answer, Liam padded into the room in his pajamas, clutching his stuffed bear. He blinked at her, then whispered, "Mommy came back." The words shattered the last of Sophia's resistance. Tears spilled freely as she knelt, hugging him tightly. Ethan's arms wrapped around them both, a warmth so deep she had never felt it before. In that moment, she realized love wasn't about wealth or status. It was about choosing each other, every single day. Months later, as spring blossoms filled the air, Sophia stood beside Ethan at Liam's school play. The little boy spotted them in the audience, waving proudly at the parents who had never left his side. Sophia smiled through happy tears, her hand entwined with Ethan's. She wasn't just the poor girl anymore. She was a mother, a partner, and part of a family that had found each other against all odds. And for the first time, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be.